Hello, gentle people and Swifties. Welcome back to another episode of the It's Not Always Dark podcast,
where it is in fact not always dark.
I'm Kieran.
And I'm Erin, and this is our cover of Love Story.
Just kidding. We wouldn't do that to you. We release weekly episodes discussing all things pop culture, TV, film, and music.
Make sure to give us a like and subscribe if you like it to make sure that you are up to date on all of our new releases.
So, Taylor Swift is re-releasing her first 5 albums, and we have had our first installment, Fearless. Mm-hmm. Are you a Swiftie?
Am I a Swiftie? I can't believe you have to ask. Today we are going to chat about Taylor's version of her sophomore album, why she made it, what it's like, our own nostalgic thoughts on it, and why this is such an important album to the music industry.
So, we've both listened to the album.
Yeah.
We're going to give just some initial thoughts about it here.
Mm-hmm.
My personal feelings, it's a really good album. You can tell there's a lot of emotions going on here, especially because, I think we've said it before, but Taylor Swift wrote a lot of these songs at a young age. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of feelings that come around in adolescence that just, they're difficult to explain, but I think she does such a good job of doing it.
Yeah. And I think because of the age that we were when the album came out, so this came out like 2009, 2008.
Yeah. Barely 10 years old.
So we were like really about to go through this. So I especially like this was I had this album on CD. I still have it. Mm-hmm. And it's definitely like one of the albums that made me want to be a musician because I was like, I could write songs like that. And then I think we definitely grew into the songs as well. Because me, 10 years old, I didn't know what a freaking love story was. But
no, none of this made any type of sense. But I think there's something really fun about just music in general where you're able to really stretch what is possible in your mind. I fully convinced myself if I heard a song about heartbreak that I'd gone through the relationship, I'd had an awful breakup, and then I was in the moment with the song. I hadn't dated anyone.
You're like, I don't have romantic when interests. You said forever and always, Jojo.
Literally, crickets. I have to say that a lot of the songs on this album were the first time listen for me. As much as I've known a lot of what Taylor's released onto the main radio charts, I didn't know all the songs. And I'll admit there are some in here that weren't my personal faves, but at the same time, I found a couple that I didn't expect myself to like, and now they're part of my main music playlist, which I think is the ultimate compliment to any artist to make on my playlist, of course.
The highest regard.
So honoured.
Grammy doesn't matter. EGOTs,
no, the Grammys are out. Nah, they're all out the window. My subscription and likes, that's where we're trying to get
else. To. Yeah.
I stand by the fact that You Belong With Me is my favourite song off the album, just because
it's iconic.
I love it. Yeah,
that music video is iconic, yeah.
Yeah, it's been recreated many times. She really did do something there. And also, just anyone that wants to put out the line that she wears short skirts, I wear t-shirts, I'm here for it. Because I wear t-shirts.
But also, just Taylor playing both the hot girl and the geeky girl. And then having the audacity to bring on the boy from the Hannah Montana movie, winning all our hearts.
Till.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Lucas Till also. I think he was also he does 2 other things that I can think of off the top of my head. He did the MacGyver television series as MacGyver. Basically, I think it's I don't know how to describe the series. I saw my sister watching it once. And he was an X-Men. He played Havoc, I think. But that's Lucas Till. Back to Taylor Swift.
No, I definitely I remember when Love Story came out, that was sort of her first the
big chart one.
She hit the UK with that one. I think that was sort of her first sort of international success.
The UK is a weird market to break into as well. Like for her to have done that at such a young age is a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, well, I saw the other day Olivia Rodrigo's new album. She's like the
She's doing
youngest.
very well.
She's like the youngest person,
Hmm
or the youngest female maybe,
hmm
to have like to be in the top five album and singles charts at the same time in the UK. Like, go
Love that
her,
for her. Yeah, good for
thriving.
her.
She's like 17 or something. Like the talent, the age, wonderful.
We wish we could relate. We wish we could relate at 17.
It's
Me at
not me.
17, full emotional breakdowns. So happy for her.
Just crying in the
Can't
music
relate.
department. Yeah, that's. But yeah, Love Story was a big one. Obviously, the title track "Fearless" was
Oh,
another single on it.
amazing. I told Erin that like the hook for Fearless, just anything. Fearless, that has been in my head since we started listening to the album in advance, and
Yeah.
I just can't get it out of my head.
Well, that's like for me because I was so familiar with like the original album. I've been really enjoying like the new bops because she added six.
You'll have to inform me, what are the new songs that weren't on the original album? Because I
I'm just
genuinely
gonna
don't know who's
I'm gonna
who's
open
the
up
new
my
one.
Spotify here. So all the way from Fearless down to Change was the original album, and then
Fearless, Dental Change, okay.
Jump Then Fall, Untouchable, Forever and Always piano version.
Hmm
And then so basically like Jump Then Fall down to the other side of the door, I think, were
Those
all
are-
on like deluxe versions of the album in various
see.
countries. Today Was a Fairy Tale was in the film
Valentine's Day.
That she was
I have my
in
research.
while she
Her
was
movie
dating Taylor
debut.
Lautner. Yeah.
Her movie debut, girl. Valentine's Day.
And then You All Over Me down to Bye Bye Baby are songs from the vault, which means these are songs that almost made the album at the time but didn't make it.
They got shelved and she's
Which is
brought them
cool.
back.
So it means like we're getting like a wider picture of what might have been.
So that includes That's When as well?
I'm not sure. I think so.
With Keith Urban?
I mean, I
So I
hadn't
feel
heard
like-
it before, but I don't know.
I
It
thought
might-
I'd heard it before, so maybe I've just like given myself a false delusional narrative that I heard the song before Taylor
well,
released it.
I don't, just because I don't know it doesn't mean that it wasn't already
Of
out there.
course.
Like,
I have to say that I'm so happy that she did add these songs because Bye Bye Baby, that was a really good end to the album in my opinion.
I'm
I
just
had
in love
a lovely
with
time
Mr.
with it.
Perfectly Fine. Mr. Perfectly Fine is like the jumping about in your bedroom song that I needed from this.
I love the way that everything is Mr. and Miss.
Yeah.
Like I love being able to like not pronoun it, but like give it a title so that you can just summarize the feelings of that person to them in a sassy kind of way.
Yeah, no, like it's definitely something that I think you notice, and I picked it up in my early songwriting too. It's like you've done the first verse, established the story, because country music, and this is like a country pop album,
Yeah.
is so much about like telling a story. So like verse one, you kind of want to set the scene, establish what's going on.
Of
Verse
course.
two, you're sort of developing it, like maybe putting a bit of conflict in there. And I love the turning it around at the bridge is what I'm here for. So her having like the absolute big brain energy to turn around. But
Her
I was
big
miss here to
brains.
stay. Now
Oh.
I'm miss gonna be alright someday. Then someday maybe you'll miss me. But by then you'll be Mr. Too Late. Oh!
Just so many links there. Also, I think that she fully inspired the debut track of Fifth Harmony, Miss Moving On. She is cousin to Mr. Perfectly Fine and Miss Gonna Be Alright.
Definitely. And then also related to Miss Nothing from the Pretty Reckless, just like branching out genres.
Of course. Just
Yeah.
branch them out a bit.
Just
Let's
like very
flesh out
similar
this
vibes
family
and
tree.
songs there. Yeah.
So I have to ask, What is the reasoning behind why Taylor has been re-releasing these first five albums? Because I think you'll probably be able to break it down a lot better than I could.
So basically, what happened is Taylor does not own the masters to her first five albums,
Yep.
and the masters are basically the original recording, like official recordings of the songs, like the actual audio files, whatever
Yeah.
form that is in. That often ends up going to the record label because it's
Yeah.
like sort of they will probably have paid the money to have it recorded and stuff. It's just sort
Yeah.
of something that happens in a lot of, especially indie labels. Like they don't know how much of a return they're going to get on stuff. It's a whole thing. So basically, what happened was Miss Taylor was 14, went to Nashville, went around
Yeah.
chucking demos out at anyone that would take them, trying to get a record deal.
A little
And
go
then
getter.
at age 15, she signs to Big Machine,
Yes.
which at the time was a very small indie label, owned
Not quite
by,
where
well,
they are
owned and
now.
ran by Scott Borchetta,
Yep.
who I think you know a bit about.
I have feelings toward the man, yeah.
Yeah. Um, and that was basically so Big Machine would own the masters, but because Taylor wrote or like co-wrote the songs with people, she still owns the publishing rights because so she
Yes.
owns like the lyrics, melody, and composition of the songs, which is very
Thank
important
God.
to this whole project because
Huge.
it meant that she could then go and re-record this music without having to ask permission from anyone, sort of
Yeah.
vibe. And basically, in June 2019, Scooter Braun bought out Big Machine Records. So that's like
Yeah.
all the client roster, distribution deals, publishing sides, and the masters. So this was a $300 million deal. A lot of the big country stars were signed to Big Machine. That was like Lady A, like a whole bunch of them. So it was a big deal. This apparently happened without Taylor knowing about it, like or being
Yeah.
forewarned. This feels a
I'd
bit
read
like
somewhere.
a blurred thing where I don't know how much is truth and how much is false, but apparently she didn't know about it.
I'd read that the reason why, especially when Taylor had found out that Scooter had bought over the label, she was extremely upset about it because every time she spoke to Scott Borchetta, original big CEO man, every time she spoke to him about Scooter Braun, she like cried. And she was like, I don't want this man to work with me. Like, I don't want to work with him at all.
Yeah, so
And
Scooter
yet
Braun like
still he
is
went ahead.
manager for people like Ariana
Justin
Grande,
Bieber.
Justin Bieber. Yeah.
Yeah. He's managed some of the like biggest pop stars of the decade.
Especially back in like the days that she was coming up, so she probably knew a bit about him.
Of course.
So then in August 2019, she was basically like, right, I'm gonna re-record all my albums when I can. So albums 1 through 5, which is
Yeah.
the self-titled one,
Love
Fearless,
it.
Speak Now, Red, and 1989.
I've got to say, as much as I'm loving that we're at Fearless now, love what I've listened to,
Yeah.
I know that when we get to Red and 1989, that's gonna do something to me because those are the songs that I think I have more knowledge on.
I just don't know if I'm ready to go through a heightened version of All Too Well.
I think it'll be good. I think it's gonna be good because at this stage I feel like Taylor, and I said this to you before when I was listening for like the first song that I listened to on this album was obviously We Belong Together.
You belong to me. You belong with me.
Oh my god, sorry. Yes. We'll do that one more
We
time.
belong together.
Together. Let me try that one more time, baby. So, when I spoke to you previously about my fave track on the album, You Belong With Me, I was saying to you that I felt that listening to Taylor singing the songs now, although she could be singing the exact same line, there's just something different to me about even the delivery. Like
Yeah.
there's certain nuances and there's obviously technique that she'll have picked up over the years just being a recording artist, a singer in the industry. Like there's so many things that she'll have picked up since she recorded the original track. And I think that I can hear that, and that's why
Yeah.
like this version of the song is my favorite
I think
compared to the
it's like
original.
it feels more reflective as well because it's not
Mm-hmm.
that it doesn't feel like it's a kid. Well, I say a
Mm-hmm.
kid. Well, she was a kid. She was a kid when
She
she released
was.
the
She
album.
was. Yep. She was.
Like they're kid songs, but it now feels like an adult reflecting on that, which is kind of where
Mm-hmm.
we're at. Which is why I think
Yeah.
that's like it feels nice. But that's when I'm saying about All Too Well. I mean, like I know that it's gonna be incredible because the
Mm-hmm.
original was so good, and I just think
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna need 3 to 5 working days to process it when it does happen. So like, don't expect me to be around.
Airmail me.
But then yeah, so she says she's gonna re-record the stuff in
I
November
love it.
2020. Scooter
Mm-hmm.
Braun sells Swift's masters, specifically Taylor Swift's masters, to an investment fund called Shamrock
Mm-hmm.
Holdings for again 300 million just for these recordings for the masters.
Literally, he was able to acquire the entirety of Big Machine, the roster, distribution deals, publishing sites, artist masters, and Taylor Swift's alone gave him that money back. I hate him. I hate him.
I
Stars.
yeah. So he sold that for again 300 million.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently without Taylor's knowledge again. She tried
Love
to
that.
have some conversations with Shamrock,
Mm-hmm.
Shamrock Holdings, but then it sort of became apparent that like because of the deal that they had with Scooter Braun, he was going to continue to make money off of these masters for a lot of years to come.
Yeah.
So she was like, right, I'm re-recording. And the
Yeah,
reason
of
then that she
course.
was re-recording and like really getting on with it is that now when she re-releases these albums, she
Mm-hmm.
owns both the masters and the publishing
Mm-hmm.
rights,
Love it.
which means that the money made from this album will go to her and her team and
Yeah.
like her label and stuff.
As it should, though. She was the one. Like,
It's her
I
music.
just. It's insane to me that we even have to talk about someone owning the rights to your music that you wrote as a young girl, that you recorded as a young girl, that you were successful for as a young girl, and now that she is a fully grown woman, I just think it's absurd that she even has to fight for this. But I'm so happy that she's refusing to back down because otherwise, Scooter Braun is just going to sit there and be like a little leech on her creativity and also just her essence. Like
Yeah,
this is her.
and the thing is, this is obviously a very public and like high stakes, high monetary
Mm-hmm.
value. Like, obviously, stuff like this happens all the time, and it
Yeah.
takes someone like Taylor Swift standing up
Mm-hmm.
and doing this kind of thing to
Mm-hmm.
sort of show the record industry that
Mm-hmm.
where artists are going to take back control, and especially now that a lot of us are sort of like bedroom recording artists, like we can do
Yeah,
so much via the internet without needing
it's
to get
true.
record labels involved. And I'm
And I
not saying
think
that,
record labels know that to an extent. Like
yeah, thing
I
is,
think they're scared of it.
there will always be a need for record labels, especially like the big
Mm-hmm.
three, like the major
Of
record
course.
label, like, and then they feed a lot of the indie labels. So like, Big Machine had like a distribution deal with Universal, which meant so like they
Right.
partially funded like how the music would be distributed, but it's still
I
an
see.
indie.
Mm-hmm.
But it's never going to go away. But I just
No.
think that this is an important album in terms of this is the first one
Mm-hmm.
that she's done, and it's the first one that's sort of saying, I'm going to own my music and you can't
Yeah.
do anything about it. And
Can't
now, because, so
enjoy making the money while you can, you know?
yeah,
Enjoy it while
so
you
the thing
can.
with the master is, so if someone
Mm-hmm.
owns the master of a music, they
Mm-hmm.
decide also where it goes in terms of can it be licensed to be used in
Right.
TV, film, adverts,
Mm-hmm.
like even where it can be streamed, like that's
Mm-hmm.
all to do with the
It's all
master of
included
the
in the
recording.
masters. Yeah.
So like now she has complete control of that as well, which is really
Love
cool.
it. It's very deserved, I feel.
Yeah, and then also, you know, if it means that she's going to sprinkle in a couple new songs with all these new releases.
Yeah, like no harm done in that. Especially I can imagine just I am a fan of many artists myself. If they were to do this exact same thing and just sprinkle in some new songs I'd never heard onto the album, I'd be obsessed. So
Yeah.
I think it's very exciting.
Should we do a little track by track and maybe do
I
a
would love
rate?
a little track by track.
Okay, so we're gonna go all the way back to the start. The title track of the album, Miss Fearless.
Fearless. Okay, so for Fearless, I felt like, I mean, the lyrics really just captured what she was singing about. It's that feeling of new love and how it made her feel invincible. Because some people truly do bring out those emotions in you. And I think that, it makes me think of like long summer nights. I feel like that's the song, like, this is the song playing if I were to imagine myself in a car with someone driving at night. I don't
In
know
a storm
why.
and your best dressed, fearless, if you will.
Fearless. Fearless, if I will.
Yeah. No, this song, like,
Fearless
this,
for your nerve.
I mean, this album in general, but this song is always like, it reminds me, like,
hmm
every time I get a new crush, I want to listen to this album because it feels very giddy and very smitten.
Very, very giddy. I think that's why it's so nice to listen to as well, because it's not as though the second that a song takes on a bit of the realization of what the relationship might be that makes it feel sour to me.
Hmm.
It's just that I really enjoy when we're just doing like positive after positive after positive because that's the mindset I think you want to have.
Yeah,
So why not? Why not surround yourself with that type of music?
that gets a full, like, I would
That's a
say,
that's a 10 out of 10 for me. I can't
yeah, a
really
full 10.
find anything wrong with it. I'm not gonna
Uh,
do this for every song, but like it's definite for Fearless.
no, especially, like, it's the title track of,
Yeah,
like, the album, like, she won
it's
the
also just a
Grammy.
statement.
Yeah, so much going
It's a
on with
big
that.
statement to be like, I'm releasing Fearless again because I'm quite literally fearless.
Hmm.
Obviously, that's what she's trying to say with it, but it's just to do it and to say it are two different things, and Taylor Swift is letting her actions speak for her,
Hmm.
and I love it.
And then we
Next up.
have 15, which is
hmm
it's one for the old heartstrings, that one.
I remembered this one. This was one of the songs that I fully remembered. I'd forgotten about it, but like as soon as we got to, because when you're 15, I was
15.
like, oh yeah, okay, I remember this one. I remember this track.
Yeah, it's
I
just
like it.
it's so good. I mean, it's obviously like we were in a different high school system than that. So we've been in high school
Of
for a hot minute
course.
by the time this came out. Or well, by the
Yeah.
time we were 15, sorry. Like
hmm
but
We'd been in high school.
but we it's again, it's like you're listening to the lyrics and you're like, oh, you're walking into school the first day, like you're kind of, or like every year when you changed classes and you didn't know who was going to be in
Yeah,
your class, and you're like, oh, I hope
of
get sat next
course.
to someone like decent, and then you end up sat next to someone who's going to be like your bestie. All the feels.
All the feels. I also really enjoyed the fact that she gave her high school friend a little shout out within the
Yeah.
song, and they're still friends to this day, as far as I'm
Yeah.
aware. Which
Yeah.
that's what it takes. Put your friend in a song, and they'll never leave.
Maybe that's what I'm doing wrong. I have to be like, and this
Link
song is
everyone
the
you ever
Kieran
meet in a
song.
song. Kieran, I want it in brackets, and it's called something like that bitch in
Oh.
brackets Kieran's song.
And then we have, oh, sorry, we didn't rate 15.
Oh yeah, we didn't rate 15. I would
Fif-
say like it gives a good 8 out of 10 for me.
yeah, I would put it at like, it's not my favourite on the album, but it's not, and
No.
like, I will still scream along to it, so it's getting an 8.
Oh yeah, yeah, totally. It's something that I feel like I will sing along to, even if it's just by myself, and that's the sign of something long lasting.
So, the
Love
song that changed it
Story.
all. Yeah, Love Story.
This iconic pop, little country pop track.
Yeah.
I love this song.
I love it so much. This was when I went to see Taylor Swift. I went to the 1989 tour,
Uh-huh.
and
Right.
she did like a little like just like I say acoustic, she did it with a like electric piano.
Uh-huh. Right.
But just her on a podium singing it, and my mum has a
Oh.
video, and you literally cannot hear Taylor Swift because me and my mum are screaming this song. Also in the film Letters to Juliet.
Yes,
Amanda
Amanda
Seyfried.
Seyfried. Amazing. Love her. I love the fact that with Taylor Swift, and this is like a common theme that I feel like you can touch on for multiple tracks on this album, especially now that they've included some additional ones. Taylor Swift, she loves talking about fairy tales. She loves talking about what has been written and like a love story from eons ago, and she loves trying to make it like into her songwriting now.
Yeah.
Especially like this song is, the Romeo and Juliet references, but then in other tracks that she has coming up, she talks about fairy tales, and I think it's important because it's breaking down that narrative that the fairy tale is what we're going to live, when that's just like a romanticized version of how life could go. But for it to be the expectation and for her to address it, I just is it the most groundbreaking thing to write about in a song? No. But is it something that I think that she does well? Yes.
I think especially with this album and the age that she was when these songs were
Yeah.
written, this is what she knew. She knew the stories that you're told as a kid about love. That's what
Totally.
you know of love, is the stories that you've been told. You don't really understand. Not that we any of us probably ever understand that much anyway, but
Will any of us,
that's
will we
the
ever?
that's the representation of love that you have at that point. And so she was basically
Agreed.
writing about what she knew rather than like I think when you go into like the Speak Now album and stuff
Yeah.
like that, there's a lot of like
Speaking from what she had experienced.
you're moving on to like experience based things. Yeah.
I think
Um
that's a natural transition just for everyone in life, though, is to go from what we think it's going to be to what it is.
yeah.
And that it's a good way to write a song as well, to go off of what you knew then.
Yeah. And obviously there is the remix of this song, which was
Yes.
released as a single. I don't know if it's officially on the album, but it's pretty good.
I don't think it's
like-
on, it's not on this album, but
I think it was
I
released
have
as a
heard the
single.
remix.
Yeah, it was the same. I think it was the same person that remixed Willow, which was on
I see.
Evermore, I think, or Folklore.
Mm-hmm.
Very fun, very good. That's an obvious 10 out of 10 from me.
Yeah, another 10 out of 10 there. I
next
think
one-
it's held its iconic place for so long that I
it's-
couldn't give it anything
but-
less than a 10.
Well, even the music video for that one was the one
Another.
that Kanye stood up and took the microphone off her at the MTV Awards.
Feel it, but this is just the thing. These moments, they're all like linked together. So even if like you don't love Story, which weird, like you're saying, she is fully connected into that moment that happened at the MTV Awards.
Yeah, forever.
One of the most iconic award show moments.
100%. The next one I'm quite happy to like kind of briefly skip over. Hey Stephen is fine.
Yeah, Hey
it's
Stephen's
not bad.
okay.
Oh, Siri thinks I'm speaking to her. Oh,
Oh no!
she was
Sorry,
like, "Hey
babe,
Siri."
this ain't about you. She's like, I heard that you were talking shit, and I'm here to discuss it. My thoughts and feelings. I found out this was apparently written about Stephen Barker Lyles of the country group Love and Theft, because she apparently references something in like the lyrics about love and theft. Sure, that's something that I can not confirm nor deny, but I have to say I really do like the like there's something about that repetition of the
I don't not like it. It's like I do
No, of
like the
course
song. It's
Oh, I
just
believe
like
you.
in the scope of this album, I have the least to say about this one.
That's very
Probably.
fair. I think for me, just the idea that the song was about a guy she had a crush on, I had no idea, just makes it a clear and concise thing to relate to.
It's so cute.
those-
It is a very like sweet.
Yeah, there's nothing about this song that feels like she's just feeling a crush and she's letting it be known. She's the girl that will write a song about you in a nice way. So I'd say for Hey Stephen, I'm gonna give it like a like a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna hit it with a I'm gonna this is
Keep
gonna
it
sound
in mind
uh,
with everyone.
yeah, this is like I don't like the absolute even zero on this album I like, okay?
Yeah,
Like
of
it
course, of course.
but I'm gonna go with a 6 because
Fair.
I think it's the most similar to her previous album.
Right.
Like it feels very like if you listen to the Taylor Swift album, it's
Hmm.
very in terms of the development of the songwriting ability, the
Yes.
least has happened there.
I see.
But that's just a personal opinion. If that's your favorite song, don't let me. I'm speaking to the people now.
The people.
The people. Don't let
Come
me
on,
influence
people.
your favorite song.
Of course not.
So, White Horse.
Again, another fairy tale motif. She's really strong on these fairy tale motifs, and I understand it. I did think when I first like saw the title, because this is my first listen to White Horse, I was like, oh, I wonder what this one's gonna be about, and like it fully makes sense.
Yeah,
She does
12-year
she
old
does talk
me
about that white
learning this on the
horse.
guitar. Like, it's a
Oh,
full,
that's
like,
cute.
sad ballad about a boy letting you
Hmm.
down.
But I think she had like the thing about this is that she had a really great moment where obviously this was a very she's been let down. The song
Uh-huh.
itself is very stripped back. She's letting the emotions come through. But
Hmm.
then she gets to win in the end because it got to be used for the 2 hour season premiere of Grey's Anatomy that happened. And Taylor Swift, as far as I'm aware, huge fan of the show. I'm pretty
Oh,
sure her
she is.
cat is
Yeah.
named after Meredith. So I think it's very nice that she was able to take like what at one point in life would have been a sad moment and
Yeah.
transform it into like a really positive experience in our favorite
Like,
show.
the vibe of the song is very, like, White Horse walked so that All Too Well could run, is
Yeah,
the like the
that's the
and it's
vibes we're going
again
with.
it's I think most of the songs on this album have the same like have the similar format of having like the bridge or like the last chorus like the lyrics change,
Hmm.
the last verse the lyrics changing or the last chorus being because I'm not your princess, this ain't a fairy tale,
Hmm.
I'm gonna find someone some way someday that might finally treat me well, like
Hmm.
something
Call it
about
out.
like and then like the town disappearing in the rearview mirror, like she's moved past it, she's beyond this
She's
crap that the
gone.
boys put her through.
Of
Oh,
course. My rating for White Horse, I'm gonna give this about like a 6 out of 10, just because it doesn't really do much for me when I'm listening to it. I don't really love a stripped back song. Ballads, you've got to either really hook me with the emotion or an interesting little sound in the music itself. I don't know. It felt just very laid back, and so I felt quite laid back listening to it.
I'm gonna put this on a level with 15, so I'm gonna put it at an 8 for me.
Okay.
This was a big I learned this one on the guitar and stuff. To
Hmm.
be fair,
Of course,
this entire
you have a
album I
deep
learned.
emotional connection.
I
Hmm.
like me being so dramatic about all the boyfriends I didn't have singing this song. You bet it happened, so it's getting
You
an 8.
bet.
So we've already expressed our love
11
for
out of
You Belong
10.
With Me. Like
11
13
out of
out
10.
of 10.
Best track on the album.
Like this is the ultimate dance party song
Yeah.
of the
No, there's
album.
just it's so good. There's a reason the song dominated the charts for so long.
Yeah,
She just
and
killed it with this one.
it's definitely like we are. I think we've had this conversation before where we say like we are very like the generation of a Cinderella story of like being the chosen one, the different one. Like
Yeah.
the we grew up with like the Harry Potters. We grew up with
Hmm.
oh my goodness, Anne Hathaway.
Yes, we did grow up with Anne Hathaway.
No, but you know, like the film,
The Princess
the
Diaries.
Princess Diaries. We
Sorry,
grew,
I just need to repeat that. We grew up with the Harry Potters, the Anne Hathaway.
like the
To be
Princess
fair,
Diaries,
you
a
you could have
Cinderella
just said Anne
story.
Hathaway, and I would have been like, yeah, completely agree with you.
Like
Yeah, but
we grew up
all
with
of
the
those,
like
Hilary
the geek
Duff.
to chic. Like
Yeah, the
it
glasses
was
come off, the beauty appears. That
yeah.
moment.
So like, I think that this sort of like sums that all up and like triggers that little nostalgia switch for me. Okay, so
Breathe.
Breathe, featuring Colby Calais, who did that song with
Yeah.
Jason Mraz.
Yeah, I also bet like was Colby Calais.
Mm-hmm.
Am I saying that right? So Colby Calais, she participated on that Jason Mraz track, and I'm pretty sure that there was like a week where Jason Mraz's song with Colby Calais just bet out Taylor Swift, and then Taylor and her collaborated in like Tennessee because Taylor had like a day off whilst Colby was traveling or performing there.
I'm just reading it now and I'm like, I don't think it is Calais because the eyes at the first half of it, is it
Yeah.
Kila?
Kalat?
Kala?
Colby. We're just gonna
Colby,
Colby.
sorry.
Colby
Sorry.
Goddess. Beautiful
That's on
vocals.
us. We should have checked that before we started. I've always said Colby Calais, but then I've just looked at it now and the eyes in the first half of it, so it's definitely not that.
Hmm.
Um,
You know,
Sorry. But
briefly
yeah.
moving on.
I'm not like mad about this song. Like I honestly
Uh-huh.
skip it.
Yeah, it definitely fell into the skip category just because, again, it's another laid back country pop sound that I'm already like, I need you to do something a bit more for me. I need a bit more pop in my like go-to listens. But that wasn't the intent with this song, and I can respect that. Um,
Yeah.
and I think that the message is, that life is quite full of unanimous partings with like the best attempts at avoiding the fallout and negativity that can follow just
Mm-hmm.
leaving any type of like relationship you have with a person. So I felt the lyrics at the very least. Like I might not have loved this song, but those lyrics I get where she's
Yeah.
coming from.
I think it's one of those like if you're in the mood for it, it's fine, but you have
Of
to be in the mood
course.
for. Otherwise, it's just a bit like
Hmm.
it because it is so
It's a
like
downer.
yeah. It gets. I would say I'd put it on. I'd put it on a 6. Honestly, a
Yeah,
5 or a
I'd agree
6.
with you. I'd give it a 6 with a possible push to a 7 just because I felt like the lyrics were good. Like I think especially like it's not like any of these lyrics on the album are not good, but like some of them just resonate a bit more with me.
Yeah, that's music. Did you hear that?
It's that little Bonnie.
That's funny.
Oh, Bonnie, babe, what's up? She's so upset that we are just respecting Colby. She's like,
She's
listen,
mum and dad have just come home with the shopping. I think so. I
I
think that's
see.
She's just saying hi.
Oh.
I don't know. Moving on, we're moving into like the angry breakup song version, like section of the
Yeah.
album. There's a little chunk
Hmm.
here.
A little chunk.
So we've got Tell Me Why.
Hmm.
Fun. It's not of the as I say this is a chunk. This isn't my favourite of the chunk.
Yeah.
But we love an angry breakup song from Taylor Swift. This is like
Hmm.
the beginning of what became part of her brand for a long time, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of people really latched on to the fact that Taylor Swift knows how to write a song against a man who has done her wrong or who is not as committed to the relationship as he once was. She's not afraid to call it out. I was telling Erin that like so for this song she collaborated with Liz Rose on the writing process, and the guy that she was seeing at the time was really making her upset. So she sat down with Liz one day and she just wanted to talk to her about it. Look, I don't know if she knew, but Liz Rose was writing down what she was saying, and then they crafted all of her feelings about this one man into this song. And I thought, it's interesting to just hear that it can take one person listening to what you're saying to just like rewire that whole situation into something positive for you.
Yeah. Yeah, songwriting is it happens in many ways and I think it's writing with other people isn't something that I've really done before, but I definitely want to do it at some
Yeah.
point. And
I think the collaboration of it all is what I think is most exciting.
yeah. But
I like the bridge a lot for this one. I remember liking the bridge.
I'm trying to like remember how the bridge goes at this point. Like, you know what? I've got like another song playing in my head currently,
Hmm.
and I'm like trying to stop it so that I can hear. I know what you see, what you're doing to me. Tell me why. Oh, there
I
it is.
just
It's in
think
there.
that
I've got it.
she's locked in.
Did you make me feel small so you could feel all inside?
Like
Oh,
the feelings that come with that.
the
We've
vocal
all, I'm
bends.
sure we've all been made to feel small at some stage or another. And I like hearing about this country girl singing it away, you know?
It's also the like, it doesn't even need to be a romantic situation. Like, the idea of
No,
just like
this,
someone trying to put you down
hmm
purely because they feel
just for their
bad.
own, yeah,
Yeah.
just for themselves. Insecurity being peak strengthy points and deciding it's going to try and take over.
Yeah. But it being someone that you're like close with, it being like
Hmm.
a confidant,
A
if you will.
confidant. Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
give this song like I'm gonna say like a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it on like a 7 too. I I stand by the 7. Maybe like a
Solid
7.5 if we were
7.
doing 7.5s, but a 7
Yeah, if we were
plus.
doing 0.5s.
Um, You're Not Sorry is a sad breakup
Hmm.
ballad about when you know that you were more into it than they were, and
Hmm.
but you're kind of mad about that fact. You're like,
Yeah, it's
I'm
not sitting
annoyed.
well.
And it's like it's almost like you're annoyed at yourself about how invested you
Hmm.
let yourself be in it. Like
Of
you're not
course.
sorry. Like you're not gonna pick up the phone.
No.
Like don't worry about it. Like
Hmm.
oh
To me, this song, it just, yeah, it feels like the time you're mad at someone because, like, all the apologies and things they're offering are completely insincere. They're just surface level to try and keep things pleasant enough.
yeah.
But I'd rather not keep the pleasantness if the situation is what it is there.
Hmm.
And yeah, in regard to the relationship, it just sounds like she's completely done with it, and it makes it like the pre-breakup song.
Yeah.
Like if you were gonna break up with someone, I feel like this is a great song to listen to start with because it gets you in there with like the you're not upset about what you're doing to me.
No. I
That attitude.
I feel like this song is one of those songs that like again like it either like really gets me because I'm in the mood for it or I'm like
Hmm.
but I would still say that it sits at a 7. Like I would put like
Yeah.
You're Not Sorry and Tell Me Why like in the same little like it's good,
Hmm.
but like I have to be there for it.
I want to say that I'll maybe give You're Not Sorry like an 8 out of 10. Like I quite liked it. I feel like I'll listen to it again.
That's fair. Um sorry, that sounded really
That's
mean.
that's
That's
great.
that's just whatever you think, sweet pea. Okay. I think it's because I know that we're moving on to
Hmm.
my what a personal favorite of mine. The
Hmm.
Way I Loved You.
Hmm. I really like this one too.
It's a song about like you know that you're with like a good person and he's like a
Hmm.
nice guy or a gal
Hmm.
and you know that
They do
they're good
everything
for
right on
you.
paper.
They're so nice and lovely and
Hmm.
they are there for you, but
Hmm.
you just can't like it's missing
Can't
a bit of spice. It's
the
missing
spice,
the
yeah. The flavors are maybe a little bit dampened.
um and it's the part of you that just wants the bad boy.
Hmm.
Like
That's what she's describing in this. This
this
was
is
definitely
another
like a sneaker hit for me. I would love to hear this as a duet with. I wrote down Avril Lavigne. Like I just felt like if Taylor and Avril came together in this
it
song,
is very yeah.
I would love that. I think it'd be so good.
It's definitely like it could cross over with like some of like Avril's more ballady type songs. Like,
Yeah,
I can see the
it's very
similarity
in there.
there.
It's in that area. I just want to say immediate 10 out of 10 for me. Like I
Yeah.
really love this song.
This is another like jump about your bedroom song for
Oh,
me.
totally,
It's so
totally,
good.
really great.
Um like the lyrics are very like missing the highs and lows rather than
Hmm.
having having the easy road
The
isn't
easy road.
necessarily like
Hmm.
what you want out of your relationships. You want to have the high
No.
highs and the low lows and whatever.
Yeah, you don't want to be complacent in the middle ground when you could be surfing the wave, you know? You want to go up. Great
So,
song.
moving on. Yeah, so this is written about Joe Jonas, who famously broke up with Taylor Swift over the phone in 20 seconds, and
Hmm.
she aired out that laundry on Ellen.
Oh, she
Like,
did.
she was like, laundry, airing it.
Ellen, she aired it on SNL in her monologue.
Mm-hmm.
I just, she didn't let the world forget about Joe Jonas being shitty and dumping her on the phone.
I think they're
And
actually
good for
like
her, good for
friendly now
her.
as well, which is
Oh yeah,
hysterical.
of course. Well, I think it's great that they've been able to work through it, and that's why the song and just those moments in time are iconic because she knew she was better than a 20-second breakup over the phone, and I'm sure Joe Jonas knew that too. Did he make that decision at the time? No.
No. This
Have
is
they probably
also like 10
reconciled
years
since?
ago at this
Yeah,
point,
of
yeah.
course. They were both like so young in the industry that of course the dumb decisions that they make when they're younger are gonna live on forever.
But it's a
This
fun,
song
it
also
is,
has a piano version. Just to
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so there's two versions of this. I prefer
I
the piano
prefer,
version.
oh really? I prefer this
I
version.
do. Oh, interesting.
Because I prefer
I
the drive of this version, whereas the piano
I see.
one I don't not like, but
Hmm.
I feel like I like the anger and the drive of the full composition.
I see. I see. I think there's just something about the piano version that like it just sounded really good to me when I was listening.
Yeah, I think the lyrics work really nicely with the piano version still. Like
Hmm.
there's more of a sadness to it because it's
Yeah.
like I stare at the phone, he still hasn't called, and you feel so low, you feel
Hmm.
nothing at all. Whereas like there's an in the album version, there's like an impatience to that. There's like an impatience and a frustration. Whereas like the because it's kind of slower with the piano ballad, it's very
Yeah.
like I waited for you and
Hmm.
nothing like I
Nothing
waited
came
for
of it.
you and you didn't
Yeah, like
you didn't show
I
up
sat
and that's
around for
really sad.
nothing. It is really sad. I'd say that like if we're doing separate ratings for the original and the piano version, I'd give like the original like a 6 out of 10, and then the piano a 7.
I would give I'm gonna just treat it as a whole and just give
Hmm.
like the actual song a 9.
Oh, a 9. Oh, she's coming a 9. She said no in German.
No, because I don't love it as much as The Way I Loved You or some of the other ones.
Of
So it's like
course,
it's
of
not a
course, of
10,
course. No,
but
but it's
I
still
do
very
really
high
like
up
it.
there.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um
Then that leads us into the best day, which I
yeah.
just have to say, I'm gonna give this a 10 out of 10 purely for the meaning behind this song, but also because I do quite like it. Um, this song's dedicated to her sweet little mother,
This
and
song never fails to make me cry.
yeah, it's
It
very
really gets me.
it gets you in your feelings for sure. Um,
Like I have
also, I
like
just
a
think,
like I have like the same sort of family setup that she's like so she's got like
hmm,
one little brother and her two
hmm,
parents and I'm like so when she's
yeah.
in the song I'm like it's me.
I think that the reason that I really love this song is it's like she's describing the strength of a mother who seems absolutely fearless about the world and she knows what to do. And
Mhm.
so it's like Taylor's talking about her mum and always relying on her and making these decisions. And I just think it's, oh, the
Yeah, there's
progression
a
of like her own age and the scenarios that she's describing with her mum just feel very wholesome
yeah,
and
I would
like
recommend
the good
listening to this
content.
song
Hmm.
just to feel the feels because I always like there's elements of the whole song, but one bit that I really always thought about was like the second verse where she's like describing basically being a 13-year-old girl and like 13-year-old
Yeah.
girls are horrible. Like they're so mean. Like even
Hmm.
your best friend is hates you at certain
Yeah.
points in the day.
13's a really rough age.
And it's like it's talking about like she's in the car with her mum, and the bridge, like the pre-chorus is like, I don't know who I'm gonna talk to now at school, but I know that I'm laughing by the time we're in the car ride home together.
Which is cute.
Oh, the tears
Very
are
cute.
pricking. Oh,
And also to find out that she made a home music video to debut this song to her mother on Christmas as a gift. It feels like that's the type of stuff that I feel like I would just sob at if I saw in person. Even hearing about it makes me feel a bit emotional. But then
yeah.
also, I think it's funny that her mum asked her to take it off like the set list because
The set list on the tour.
she could not be behind the scenes hearing this song every night without wanting to sob.
Yeah,
And she
but like
did.
they have like such a lovely relationship, because then obviously her mum got sick, and there was a song on, I think it was the Lover album, about like when her mum had cancer, and
Yeah.
the song's like, oh, I think it's like, you'll get better soon because you have to. Like, I
Of
can't
course.
live in a world where you don't get better. And I'm like, oh,
No.
oh my god, oh.
She really knows what points to just press.
Yeah, and I think that this is interesting because obviously we're talking about this album, and hopefully at some point we'll maybe do like the Folklore Evermore, because that's like, in terms of songwriting, that is like, you can like the absolute leap that she's had from like,
Yeah, the progression
because this
is
is very
quite
like,
apparent.
describe the setting, tell the story of what happened to me songwriting is what this album is.
Yeah.
And now the stuff that she's writing is like based on like pieces of literature, and interweaving the whole album, so that there's sort of a story being told through the whole album about these
Yeah.
characters that she's made up. Like,
I love it.
like obviously she's really sort of like developed the skill and the craft, and it's lovely to, but even like if this is your starting point,
Oh yeah, you've already knocked it out the park.
oh girl.
The ceiling continues to be raised every time you do something.
Yeah. And then so we're on the sort of, if we're looking at the basic version of the album, this is the final track.
What a track to end it on. I would have sobbed.
This
Especially hearing this as the last track.
I still love this song. So this song's called Change. Oh, sorry, the best day gets like a 13 out of 10, like 100 out of 10
like,
from me.
Yeah, such a high rating, as high as it can go, because just
She deserves it.
give your mum some love.
But yeah, Change is like a song about being young and feeling like you can take on the world.
The world. Totally.
And feeling like the adults are trying to suppress you, and you're like, no.
I
It
think
was the night things
that
changed.
yeah, the song itself felt uplifting and encouraging of making the change that you need to make for you. But also, like, when I'd gone and discovered a bit more about the fact that, like, she wrote this song, from what I could tell, after she won, like, one of the, like, a really big award early on in her career. And she cried with Scott Borchetta at the time, and the two of them are so overjoyed about it. And, you know, since their relationship has soured over the years because of everything that's happened to do with her masters and all that,
Yeah.
the song kind of takes on a unintended different meaning, where it's like, I'm going to change literally everything that you have done to try and suppress me and my music.
Yeah.
I will change all of that. And I think it's why, obviously, the songs on the album is a statement to me.
Yeah, it's just, I love the guitar riff that's sort of throughout it. It's a very empowering song. I very much enjoy it, and I think you're right. It's very much a claiming back of the album, which is a cool. I mean, in terms of the new release, this is only like a midpoint on it, but
Yeah.
in terms of like really sort of punching a hole in the end of the original album, like this is it's a good statement. And
I agree.
it was the same. I was actually thinking a similar thing about 15 earlier when I was doing the research, and it was like she was 15 when she signed that record label, and the chorus of that song is like, when you're 15 and someone tells you they love you, you're gonna believe them. And it's like, when you're 15 and someone tells you, Scott Porchetta, that they're going to look after you and they're going to guide you through the music industry, you're going to believe them.
You're gonna believe them. Yeah,
And it was
it's
that
true.
total, like, taking advantage of someone's innocence is basically what that song's about. And it really hits different in
It does hit
2021.
different. It does hit different these days when you know what she's had to go through behind the scenes. And I'd say for me, Change gets like an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I'd
Good
say
track.
I'll put it at a 9, and that it's not a 10,
Okay.
but
But
like,
still, it's not.
if anyone sees me in the car screaming along to it, you're
Mind your
welcome.
business.
Honestly, come join in. Like, everyone's welcome.
Just get in the car.
I mean, don't get
Please,
in the car, but
If you see Erin in her car ever, you've got open permission to just get in beside her.
this is gonna get played back when I get kidnapped one day, and they're gonna be like,
They're gonna be like, so who did
and
we
a straight
blame
white
here?
man in a suit is gonna be like, she was asking for it.
Oh God. Disclaimer, please never climb inside Erin's car ever.
Or anyone's
if-
car,
even if-
uninvited.
Yeah, just don't get in cars anymore. I think we as a society have progressed the need for cars. Somewhere Lightning McQueen is just sobbing.
He's like, ka-chow.
Kerchow.
Well, this has gone
Let me
off the
move on.
rails.
No, never off the rails. It's gone off the road because we're in a car.
Okay, so now that we have finished the original album, we're just going to chuck in a couple of our other faves. I know we mentioned a couple at the start of the podcast, but we have a few more we want to talk about. What was yours, Kieran?
So wouldn't necessarily say this was like a fave because it doesn't beat out the other songs on this album that I liked more.
Yeah.
But Superstar is very much her like Dear Mr. Gable moment. She is singing to this person that she idolizes. She wants them to feel the same way, but she's speaking from this like she's speaking from such a young age of being a fan as well. That of course this artist who's performing wouldn't look at her that way, but we've all felt that way at some stage or another, even if it's just the smallest extent of supporting an artist and liking them so much that you're like, but what if I was part of that? Because
Yeah.
that's how much you can get yourself involved. That's how much you feel attached to their work, that it feels so intimate, the relationship between an artist and a fan, that
Yeah. And this was
it's a good way of summarizing it, I think, with Superstar.
before a lot of the internet culture of like fangirling and
Standum,
stuff sort of like
yeah.
really went wild online. So I feel like now that's gonna have like a whole like different relatability to the teenagers of today.
Yes.
Mine was Today Was a Fairy Tale, which, as we said,
Okay.
was in the Valentine's Day movie. That song, I don't know what it is, because it's not even, it's another
Hits
one, like
you.
I was saying with Hey Stephen, that reminds me of like the first album in terms of how it's written. I just really like it. It just makes me smile. It's just
That's
like,
what you need though in these
I think,
songs.
like I said earlier, like this is just like, this entire album just reminds me of like when you have a crush on someone. Like
Yeah.
the happy songs on this album just make you feel a bit like giddy and smitten, and it just makes me go, oh, that's nice. I'm excited about love today.
I'm excited about love just today.
Just today. The rest of the days less.
Less so. I think then if I was to talk about one that I did like a lot though, not just trying to shove in a little bit of a reference, Bye Bye Baby, like that
Yeah.
was a great song. I found
From the
to,
Vault.
like round out from the Vault as well. You couldn't have told. I would have had no idea this was from the Vault before you mentioned it, but the fact is, I think it was a really beautiful song to round up the whole album. Because, things seemed to be going well, but the relationship still had to end as if there's just something missing. And I feel like the belief of, exiting a situation before it can negatively affect you just feels very understandable. And to hear it at the end of this album, where she's just saying, like, something's got to change. Again, it's this theme of things need to change, and she's gonna change them.
Yeah, I really liked You All Over Me as well.
Okay,
I think
yeah.
the lyrics in that one are really pretty. Like, no amount of freedom sets you free. I still got you
No.
all over me. Like, it's
Yeah.
that feeling of like you just can't get away from it, especially
Can't
when you've
escape.
initially, like, I think the first couple of months after leaving a situation, whatever that is, it does feel like you're like I'm technically free, but I don't feel
You don't feel like you're
free at
detached
all.
from it yet. Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
I don't know if we mentioned. So basically, when Taylor re-released this album, she added songs from the vault. Yeah, no, we did say that.
No, yeah.
Which I think is a very intelligent marketing move on her point. Even
Of course.
though, like, in a lovely whimsical, like, narrative way. Oh, we got the fuller picture. It was like songs that didn't make it. I'm like, but in terms of a marketing strategy, if you want someone to repurchase or
Something they
restream
might have already
something
bought.
something that they already have, you
Give them
need to
something
add
new.
value to it.
Of
And the
course.
girl's gone and done it. So
She's already just gone and done it. That's what she did.
so I'm like super excited to see what she re-releases next.
Because there'll be more vault stuff for sure.
Because there will be more vault stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, I doubt that she'll redo Reputation because that kind of felt like a bit of a. There's a really like horrible video of her like getting the phone call to say that she didn't get any Grammy nominations for that album,
Ah,
and
I
she's like,
see.
"Oh, I just need to write a better album next time or whatever." You can see that she's
Aw.
really upset,
Yeah.
and it's like I think that especially was a very like angry point in her career. That was when all the stuff with Kanye was sort of at its height, and
Right.
but then obviously Lover in 2019 was like the first album that she released that she owned both the
I see.
publishing rights and the
The
master's
masters.
rights.
I
So
see.
that was a good turning point, but and it was really important. But I just think this album is so like significant, and hopefully it'll be one of those ones that's in the history books as like Taylor Swift
I'm sure it will. I'm
claimed
sure it'll
back
be right there.
the music for the artists, and I think it'll be
Yeah.
great. But this has been an episode of the It's Not Always Dark podcast.
It has indeed. It
It's
has
been a
also
fun
not
one.
been that dark.
No, it's pretty much still morning time for us. So
I thought that this was a really great topic to go through because I feel more informed now, more so than ever, about what Taylor Swift's situation is. And I feel like it did put a lot of respect from at least me into the work that she's done because she's really up against a lot of odds and yet she still keeps pushing back against them. And I think
Yeah.
that's what you take away from these actions.
and this is actually just like she's actually done like quite a few things for the music industry that goes kind of like under the radar a bit, but this is sort of the probably most publicized as of recent
Front-facing one.
times. And yeah, I'm excited to talk about more music on the podcast because it's something
I am
that
too. We haven't done too much
enjoy.
about music yet, but it's something that I feel like we both have a lot of joy doing
Joy
anyway.
feelings
So
for it. Yeah, but this has been a
happy
hoot
to
and a
include
half.
it. Has a hoot and a
Make
holler.
sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see you
It's one
next week.
second. Yeah, we
for
shall.
a brand new episode of the It's Not Always Dark podcast.
Brand spanking new.
Bye.
Bye.